Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Hope you guys are doing well. Thanks for joining today. Today we are working the SAE actually in single player, which we haven't done in a while. But we're over in Andrews and we're going to build the Eastbound. I wanted to go ahead and do this video talking about building this train because we have changed actually how we're doing this leg of the operations. So the big Eastbounds and Westbounds, they now are not going to do any swapping of blocks or switching of cars anywhere along the road except Bryson, which, if I understand correctly from different readings, is actually very much more like the prototype. And of course, a lot of that has to do with availability of tracks, ability to not gum up the main line. But yeah, essentially we're going to run a local now, or a transfer rather is what we would call it, from Bryson to Whittier and back. And that's how cars are going to actually get to Whittier, and that may run once a day, it may run twice a day, just kind of depends. But the locomotive for that is going to be housed and serviced and everything in Bryson. So when it goes to Whittier, you know, it can use the Y, but it's going to be getting refueled and stuff in Bryson every time. And that's the plan for that, which I think is going to be a great plan. I think it's going to help ease some of the congestion in Whittier. But not this time, because we did something silly and we ran super ridiculously long trains just for the fun of it. But the other nice thing about that is that means that now things only need to be blocked for Bryson or Dillsboro. So obviously Dillsboro cars, Silva cars, and I'm deciding if I want to do like Wilmot cars, which I think I do, like Wilmot and Barker's cars, Pulpwood cars. Those are all going to be routed through Dillsboro now. The Wilmot cars used to be routed through Whittier, changing that up, which is fine. And so that means that now you only really have 2 blocks for your train. It makes it a lot easier to get the train built out of the staging here, the interchange rather. And it also means that we can basically give the Bryson crew more to do, which is actually good, because that's always way too fast of a job. And you know, no one ever really complains about that, but you know, there's not a ton of other work in Bryson if you're not using mods. And so yeah, it's definitely all about, you know, getting Bryson to be busy in a way that's meaningful to the railroad. And so now we're going to be building quite a few in and outbound trains, which is great. I've also decided, we're not going to see it today, but will another day. I've also decided to run a pulpwood train from Dillsboro to Whittier and back. So now Whittier is basically getting served by essentially, you know, what's the word? Not locals, but transfer trains from both ends of the railroad, from Dillsboro and Bryson. And I really like that design and setup. I think it's going to be really useful. And that's kind of where things are looking now, you know, and it's great. Super happy with it. But that's going to ease up that congestion. It's going to give 2 new trains to be operated, which means we need more locomotives, which is awesome. But that train that was going to go from, you know, Dillsboro to Whittier and back is mostly going to be pulpwood. It'll have a few other cars, but overwhelmingly it's going to be pulpwood. And then one other cool change we're going to make here is trains like this that are pulled by Connies, which I love Connies, by the way. Trains like this pulled by Connies, they're going to be limited to a certain tonnage and a certain number of cars, whichever they hit first. Most likely it'll be the car number, but that's just going to, you know, be to make sure that we get a little more activity on the line, gives us a little bit of time broken up between when yard crews have to have things done. That way they're not getting a ton of work at once and having a ton of downtime. But also, too, gives me an excuse to buy more locomotives. And yeah, if you haven't figured that out yet, we are all about buying more locomotives, ladies and gentlemen. So we will take that opportunity gladly. Make sure we're actually lined around everything here. Yeah, I don't think we're going to reach that far. But as an example, this is locomotive tender and 24 cars. That's actually about as long as we would want, to be fair. And so the rest of these cars would actually just get sent on the next one. But I am going to take a few more this time. Maybe I'll put the cap at like 32 cars or something. 32 cars is probably reasonable. I've got to check what all the siding lengths are. I don't want to go necessarily the same as the smallest siding every time, because the smallest is like 22, I think, off that map. So I don't want to, you know, do that every time. But at the same time, I don't want to run 60 car trains They're just too heavy. I don't have any helpers on the east side of the railroad. We only have helpers to go up Red Marble. So, you know, you've got to consider that stuff. Actually, shucks. Yeah, whatever. We'll pull through it. I actually want to go back and just grab cars off this track and then hit the road. We'll run all that on the next one. So yeah, we're going to be buying a few more Connies, ladies and gentlemen. If we didn't have enough power on the SAE, now we're going to have even more. And in a bit of fairness, that is because we are running multiplayer. And that's kind of exclusively what I use this one for now. It's very rare that you get super specials like today. But yeah, it's mostly just going to be multiplayer. And so that does change up a bit of how I structure the operations, you know, if I may be honest. I would do them a bit differently if I was doing only single player. I would be running massively long trains. All right, let's see. Let's take 6 cars with us. That looks like that's about all we got anyways. So now we're at 31 cars. See, that's a good train length. I am, though, going to go ahead and be prudent because we have some time. And we are going to go ahead and build the next one. But see, even here, let's see, what's the grade out of here? I know it's not super flat, but it's also not ridiculous. 1.4, yeah, that's not terrible. As you can see, it's already, you know, it's having to work a little bit for that. And that's kind of the point. But there's the Silva cut. The rest of this is a Bryson cut. And then, of course, it'll pick up in Bryson any other cars that are going to be going to Silva. This time only, there won't be any. And that's because we wanted to be silly and we ran massive trains. Like a sweeper almost. You can see how long that train is. It's just ridiculous. It's like 4,500 tons. And then, you know, there's the other one going to Andrews. Look at all those cars. It's wild. It's wild. But this is what's fun. You know, this is what's fun. But yeah, Whittier is the only place these two trains could meet. So, but I've got to buy another F71 now, which I'm excited about. You guys have heard me talk repeatedly how much I love F71s. And then, of course, we've got to buy a few more C46s. They are great as well. Let's see here. Trying to think where I want to park this big old thing. You know what? I won't. We'll use the switchers here in Andrews to build the next one. That's what we'll do. Yeah. Yeah, building trains now is going to be a lot easier. And, you know, we don't do the interchanges on hostile. Hostile is just, it's just that. It's freaking hostile, man. It's really, really painful. I do, however, need to go ahead and consider running a special from Bryson over to Whittier. See, these Silva-bound cars already got scooped up. But I should consider making a light move because there's going to be a lot of cars get dropped off in Bryson here, and there's going to be all these Silva cars sitting in Whittier that aren't going to get picked up in time if we don't go grab them. So, sorry about all that. That's what I'm thinking is we'll make a special run down here to grab those. And then we can bring them to Bryson to be picked up by this train. I think that'd be a good idea. There's plenty of time to do that. Where's number 300? Isn't he tucked in here? Yeah, it's all downhill, so actually that locomotive could do it just fine. A little softy. All right, we're going to go park this guy in the pocket. And then we'll use the switchers to build the other one. Maybe we'll run them like an hour apart or 30 minutes apart, you know, something like that. We'll see. I'm not sure yet. Yeah, that's long enough. Perfect. Clear that crossover. Some locomotive brake in full. Train brake. 11-pound drop, not bad. Or 11-pound set, rather, excuse me. Oh, I left the angle cocks on. Not angle cocks, cylinder cocks. All right, switchers. Need to get one of these guys turned around, too. All right, cool beans. That guy needs to go to interchange. We'll get that later. Anybody in our way here? Nope. All right, let's do it. Also got to turn that Burke around. He's repaired now. Look at him. Pretty. Can run that passenger train again. That's another thing. I realize the SAE needs more passenger trains. Oh man, we have tons and tons of activity left to build here. So that's nice though, because that means the series will continue for a very nice, long, healthy time, as long as we're having fun with it, which is all the time. Because there's still so much to be done. And that's just to get it, you know, fully operational, everything opened, everything tier 5, and no mods. That's the other thing. Don't forget, we are pulling no mods. Alright, this one's going to be a lot easier. See, it's pretty much already blocked. So maybe with this new way of doing business, you know, maybe for interchange, we'll do, you know, mostly blocked or somewhat blocked. Maybe. We'll see how the crew feels about it. They probably won't like it. And if they don't, I won't do it. I'm not here to punish my crews. Yeah, let's go grab this cut first. Car's loaded with oil. Should we follow the blocking rules and put another car in front of that one? I think so. Were they around back in the FRA days? Or before the FRA days? I don't know. Probably not. They probably had, you know, individual railroads probably had rules back then for it. It's my assumption. And then, of course, there's the cut for Andrews. Oh, brakes. Shoot. My bad. Alright. Let's set a handbrake there. Set one there. And we'll just take that whole Alarca cut. Put them in front instead of separating the Alarca cars. Why would we do that to the Bryson Yardmaster, you know? Or to the I guess actually that's the Alarca. Yeah, the AMC railroad would have to deal with that. Why would we do that? That'd be so mean. And of course, you guys can guess what's about to happen. He's going to get kicked. Lazy railroading, ladies and gentlemen. Lazy railroading. Speaking of lazy railroading, we're just going to grab that cut and grab him. We're not going to stick him in with the other Alarca cars because why? Why? But see, the goal of building these trains here, this is actually what the Andrews local crew is supposed to do. You know, this is supposed to be their first task, is get the interchange served and get these eastbound trains and westbound trains built. That's their first job primarily. And then once they get them built, so that they can, depart at some point. They can get over and start working, Snowbird. That's why there's a third switcher. So it's really one crew that runs both. And then if they need to make their run to Graham County, they can do that, and get everything ready, pickups and set outs, hopefully for that second eastbound. That's kind of another purpose of the second eastbound, is so we can actually ship the pickups from Andrews today, all the way to Silva, if for those that go, instead of only waiting for tomorrow. Because now that traffic's up, like the interchanges get full, you got to make sure every time that an interchange comes in, you got to make sure you're filling it up now, or else you'll get cars stuck that you can't ship out fast enough, and that's punishing, So that's kind of the trade-off. But I like it. Having a second eastbound and westbound each day is going to give a lot more life. And I could make them wait until, another Connie comes in. But the only problem with that is it's like 2.5 hours to get a freight train from Andrews to Silva, because of the changing over of the cars in Bryson, the switching there, waiting for other trains, the grade, you name it. So I need to at least have two locomotives at each end to run those way freights. That way you can have like a first and a second section, which will give us the opportunity to use class lights, which I kind of like that. Not that we would really technically need that, but you could still use class lights with CTC, because class lights is just informing those around that that there's a second section to the train. Now, obviously, in the CTC days, they might not have even run a second or third section, and maybe they did. But, obviously, CTC would still give each section its permission to move across the railroad, but it just gives a lot of options, expands the operations, and helps things stay fresh and creative, which is always fun. All right. Let's hook him up to this one, and then we're actually just going to shove clear so that we can access these local cars. And then what I'll have the crew do first thing on the next multiplayer session is they will run those local cars over to Snowbird. And that reminds me, since I was mentioning earlier, having the two locomotives to carry the morning way freights, that's good. It's necessary. But then, the two locomotives will get to the other side of the railroad, and then they'll have to come back, go in the other direction. And if I at least get one of them to go back each day, then, the power is still reasonably balanced because it was two both ways. But the reason I'd have to do that is because, when you get these pickups from Snowbird, for example, there might be too many cars, and so you might need a third train. Maybe you don't want to make the second train wait an hour for Snowbird to get picked up. So there's some things to consider there. So there'll probably actually end up being 3 and possibly even 4 way freights each direction every day, now that we'll be using, limits to the length of the train, so they'll fit in sidings. Good stuff. Keeps the dispatcher busy. All right, we're just going to park this guy so that he's just past clear of these cars. And then that'll actually be our second eastbound, but that train will have to wait until there's power to take it. And that's 26 cars, 1,400 tons. Ooh, that might be its own train right there. We might not add anything to that one. Yeah, that guy's heavy. How much of that is going to Bryson? Yeah, quite a bit of it, actually. But those are all loaded. That's another thing. When you use interchange to interchange, every car you get is loaded. So that makes for heavy trains, which I love, honestly. All right, set some handbrakes. There we go. Perfect. Good times. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching. Hopefully you guys had a happy Thanksgiving yesterday. Hopefully it was enjoyable and fun and safe. And thanks for tuning in to DH Trains. We'll catch you guys out there next time. I'm sure you'll find something you like. And, you know, if you decide you want to operate the SAE with us, feel free to come on over to Discord and figure out how to do just that. There's plenty of space for more people. At this point, we're at the point where we are capable of, you know, if it's a brand new day, I mean, there's enough stuff for 10 to 15 people. And that's just kind of like one person crews. You know, that means we could do like 20 people and, you know, run 2-person crews. So lots of opportunity. If you want a good group to operate with, we're ready for you. Anyways, guys, thanks again. Catch you guys next time. It's been fun. We'll see you later.